Hello, and welcome back to Characters Like Us, a podcast where we explore the real world through diverse and inclusive storytelling in the books that we read and write. My name is Anvita, and I'm a South Asian woman with short black hair. I'm wearing a black tank top, and in my background is a bed, and on my right side is a brown cupboard. And today I'm in conversation with one of my favorite authors, Elba Luz. Elba Luz is a Puerto Rican author and lover of stories, whether in the form of anime, manga, video games, or, of course, books. Speaking of books, she should be writing her own. Instead, you'll probably find her replaying Final Fantasy, listening to classical music, or cuddling up with her adorable pit bull Stormy. Welcome, Elba.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Elba Luz. I have dark hair, dark eyes, and I'm wearing a lavender shirt. My background is blurred, but in the background and in my heart, my dog is sitting right next to me. She's a pit
Oh,
bull.
I love that. So, before we get started and talking about your books and writing and everything else, we do have an opening segment called Numbered Narratives, where I'll give you the choice between 1 to 34, and you get to pick a number, and then I will give you a fun bookish question based on that number, and then you get to give the answer to that. So, between 1 and 34, which number would you pick?
Already 17.
I know the reason why, and I think we
Yes,
should talk about that as well. But
absolutely.
yeah. So, number 17, what's a book that you wish had a sequel? I feel like this is like something you need to, yeah, think of.
I I'm really deep into a whole of Hunger Games right now. I truly need a
Uh,
sequel to Ballad because I need to know what happens to Lucy. So I know she did it on purpose to leave it for interpretation. I need to know if she's alive.
oh my God. I understand that. Because for me, I read Ballad of Songbird and Snakes for the first time, literally maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh my god. Oh, it's
Two
so
weeks ago.
fresh in your head. Oh
It's
wow.
so fresh. So I saw the movie when it came out, and then I was like, "What's the point of reading the book?" But then I was also like, "I'm not gonna be one of those people, so I want to read the book." And so it's been on my TBR for like the longest time. But then I heard that Sunrise on the Reaping was coming out, and so I was like, "Okay, this is the right moment to finally read it." And so I read all the Hunger Games books. I hadn't read the Hunger Games books either. I had only seen the movies. So a whole like I just spent an entire week reading the three Hunger Games books and then reading Ballad. And then the next week Sunrise came out and I read it the day of release. So
God. I wish
yeah.
I could read them for the first time and experience it for the first time.
Yeah. Did you read Sunrise as well already?
Okay. I'm reading it now.
Okay.
I am halfway through, and
hmm
it's not that I'm, like, stuck, it's that I'm so emotionally drained
Yep.
that it is one of the best books I've ever read. I will probably never read it again. It is so painful.
Yep.
Every single chapter, I am so upset. It is, like a masterclass in a phenomenal, heartbreaking book.
hmm
I'm in pain.
I completely get that. I had to, because usually I am the kind where, like, if it is like a book that's like painful, but it's like so freaking good, I'm going to read it in one sitting because I cannot stop myself. But
My
this was
God.
literally so painful that I had to stop.
No, true.
So,
I'm the same way, like, I will
yeah.
read it. This is the first time a book has affected me so much, I can't. And I was, like, reading it on the train, holding back sobs.
Oh my God. Yeah. I saw your post
Oh,
about that.
I love Haymitch. I love all the tributes, and,
hmm
I we could talk about this for hours. I'm telling
I
you,
know.
I honestly don't know when I'm gonna finish it because
hmm
I'm just it hurts.
I completely get that. I think for me, it was just easier to get through it also because I was already kind of prepared because I'd read Catching Fire, which had a lot of information about it. So, yeah. But, anyways, as you said, we could talk about this series
Part
forever,
2,
but that's
part
a great
2.
answer. Yeah, the great answer, the Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. I think everybody's pretty curious. So
Yeah,
maybe she'll write it if
please.
yeah. Anyways, let's finally get started. Let's talk about you. I am curious to know what kind of got you into writing? Like what your journey is like how you decided you wanted to write, like where it all began for you. So,
Thank you for asking. My kind of journey is a little funny because it was unwillingly because I got into writing because I got into reading. And when I was in 6th grade, I flunked it. And so I had to repeat the year. And my mom is a teacher. So I think it really truly upset her. And she
okay.
took everything from me. Like I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't play video games, which is like my favorite thing. I couldn't even listen to the radio. It was truly like no media allowed. And there was one day of, and it was for the whole year until
Mhm.
like I went to 7th grade, and I remember like in the basement just walking around like my life is so hard. And there was a shelf because she would get books for free, and Percy Jackson was there, and I was just like, "I have literally nothing to do," and I was like, "Mom, can I please read this?" Like, and she was just like, "Yeah, like, we can facilitate reading, that's amazing, that's educational," and so I read it, and I read it that day, and I was like, "Wow," like, the time passed, it was so brilliant, I wasn't bored, and, like, oh, this is all I could do, and my dad was so great, every time I finished a book, he would take me to the bookstore, and I would get another one, and so I just started like reading so much. And then, when you read a lot of books, sometimes you encounter books that you don't really like how they ended, or you're just like, "Ooh, I want to stay in this world a little bit longer." And so I was like, what if I like started like doing little like writing about like these stories? And then I learned about fan fiction. And so I kind of started writing like fan fiction about like characters and stuff. And then I was like, oh, am I a storyteller? And then I started writing like my own stories. And then it kind of stuck with me. And when I went to college, I tried to focus on writing and poetry. And I think I found my niche in like books itself, but writing has always been really important to me once I realized how amazing reading was. So thanks, Mom. I had a horrible time, but also thank you, I guess.
Yeah. That is actually a very, very similar experience to what I had with my writing. Yeah. Because for me also, it started like I hear all the time that people like grew up reading and that's how they got into it and stuff. For me, that was not the case. I went to boarding school in 6th grade. And so then that's how my media got taken away. No phone, no
Good.
no
Parallel.
TV. Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, I need to find some way to, like something that'll take up my time and stuff. And so then I got introduced to the book fair at my boarding school. And then the reading came. And then I was like, what? Like, I would change this ending. I would, like, how, like, I don't like the way they did this. How about what if it went this way and stuff? And then, yeah, again, like, then, like, from I think 7th grade onwards, I had like, those English classes where like I would like make my own stories and stuff. And I think I had a great teacher then too, so that really helped. But yeah, it like pretty similar. So
No, that's it. Even the grade. Like that's crazy.
yeah, exactly. So as soon as you said that, I was like, wow, like this is the first time I think I'm hearing someone who didn't like have like a story where they like were read to like growing up and like or like were reading from like a very young age. So yeah, very
No,
interesting.
not
You
me.
also
I was like, get these books out of here, lady. And then I was forced to.
no, literally. Because for me also, because I have an older sister and she has read for the longest time. So even then, like we had books at home. I just was not reading
Yeah.
them.
I was like, get out
So
of here. But
yeah.
now look at us.
Now look at us. Exactly. You also mentioned that you like video games a lot. Is there like because video games I'm not very familiar with it, but I know they have like a lot of like story aspect to it and stuff. So is that something that also like kind of like has some inspiration for you, like, or
Yeah,
is it? Hmm.
I would say outside of books, video games are my greatest source of inspiration. There's a lot of different kinds of games, and I
Mhm,
specifically like to play role-playing games where those are the ones that are really story-based.
mhm,
And I've always viewed video games as a story that you just kind of need to work through. And so you get these cutscenes that are like really long stories, almost like episodes, but you
mhm,
just have to like grind and fight a boss to get there. And so like you kind of have to solve a puzzle. So you have to like work your way. And I love video games like Final Fantasy art is like really important to me. It's a long-standing series and each one is its own story and they have like diverse characters, romance arcs, like growth and like I always reference those specifically. And at one point I thought I would try and be a writer for video games. And it's just such a difficult career field and it's not really steady and I try and be a logical person and I was like, okay, being an author is a little bit more attainable, like in this way. Maybe one day I can revisit. But yeah, I'm always every day I like end my night playing a video game. Maybe I should get out more, but I do love them so much.
Yeah, I mean, whatever brings you happiness. For me, going back to our previous topic that we left off, for me, it's watching K-pop content before going to sleep. So, maybe I should be going out more often, but it brings me happiness. So,
Listen, nothing is better than like being lazy and watching Going 17 or something. It is truly, they bring me so much joy. I get
it's
you.
so fun. Even like outside the fact that it's the K-pop content in
It's
general,
genuinely fun, right?
it's so fun and it's just so well shot in just like, and then I mean they're all kind of very very like I'm thinking of the word but I can't think of what word it is, but they have like this thing for like wanting to be funny, so
Oh my
they're
god.
like,
Yeah, they're so into like they will do anything for a bit, like to be
yeah,
fun. Like they'll fight each other to have like a joke and
exactly.
they always get me. They always make me laugh. I love 17. Everyone should watch
So
Going 17.
I agree. Even like if you don't like their music or like you don't care about like who's who and stuff, like you watch those contents and it is going to be like making you happy.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
no matter
comedy.
what.
I got
Exactly.
into 17 by watching Going 17 and then
Me
I got into
too.
music. Yeah, I saw like a video of DK like going through like a haunted warehouse.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
so
I know what
funny.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I started watching it. So they're great storytellers too. Like when they do their little
Agreed.
bits,
Yeah.
we love
Agreed. For
17 here.
me, yeah, I was like, because I got into them during COVID. So I had like nothing to do and like
Please.
it just popped up and yeah, it brought me so much happiness in like those times specifically also that like even if I were to like leave it, and it's also like they keep doing this, so it's like even if you leave it for a bit you can always go back to that when you need like a mood booster. So
They'll always be there for us.
exactly. Yeah. Well, anyways, I want to know about Build a Girlfriend. How oh, it's kind of blurry. But how did the idea come for this? How did you end up writing Build a Girlfriend? Like was there like a spark or an inspiration that led to this book?
Yeah, this is actually my second book that I wrote when I had an agent. My first book died when on submission, which means it just didn't sell.
Mhm.
And I was like really upset. And so it was not as funny, my first book. It was more like romance, a little sad. And so I needed to write something that was a little happier because when I write, I kind of get the emotions from what I'm writing.
Mhm.
And I knew I wanted to do like a rom-com.
Mhm.
Um, and so I get inspiration from everywhere. And I remember seeing a specific tweet or something, whatever that thing is called anymore. I don't even go on there. But it's when Jennifer Lopez gets back together with Ben Affleck like a while ago. And I
Yeah.
remember being like, oh, that is so interesting. Because I had recently like broken up with my boyfriend too at the time. And it's like this like blasphemy. It's like blasphemy to like go
Mhm.
back to your ex. And so I was
Mhm.
like fascinated with that idea because she really did it. Like she was not like ashamed at all. She was like, okay, and I'm back. And I just thought that was so cool. And I started to think about why someone would go back to their ex. And
Mhm.
then I started to think about like what I would do if I went back to my ex and how my family would react, how my friends would react. And so that kind of birthed the idea.
Mhm.
And so you had to like when I write, I try and think of who's going to navigate that story and it has to be a
Mhm.
specific person who can go through that
Yeah.
And so Amelia came to mind because it had to be someone with a little bit of insecurity, right?
Hmm.
Because she kind of deals with her insecurities. She's in this age where like the whole world is like waiting for her to see what she's gonna do with her life. But she also needed to be brave enough to like deal with embarrassing situations. Whereas like if I were her, like if something embarrassing happened to me, I would just die. You would never see me again. I would hide in my room. I would never kind of react the way she does, but she, like,
Hmm.
goes through humiliation constantly, and she'll go through. She like, even if
The
it
worst
hurts.
of the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the
The
worst.
worst of the worst. Yeah.
She suffers, but, like, she powers through it, and
Hmm.
also that is a skill that's she doesn't even realize that she has,
Hmm.
and so that's kind of how that came together, and so it just became, like, this really fun idea, and fun fact, those humiliating, like, dates, they're all real in some way, like, they were pulled from either, like, my friends or, like,
Hmm.
my, like, dating history. Specifically, I think the first horrible thing that happens to Amelia happened to me when she's, like, caught on the zip line. I have, like,
Yeah.
pictures of me being stuck. I had to get rescued.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So when I said the
humiliating.
worst of the worst, you've
I was
been
like,
through it.
"Yes." Thank you for understanding.
Oh my God. That's so interesting. That is, now I'm like trying to remember all the different dates that she went on and like what all
Yeah.
happened. That's so
Every time I
interesting.
tell someone that, they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, actually, you're not."
Yeah, that is another good point though, like about how you use like your real experiences and then put them into your writing. I feel like that is something I've also been doing with my writing, but like I think it also kind of is like, I wouldn't say like therapy, but like it's like therapeutic to like process those experiences in a way on writing and stuff. So that's pretty great, I think. Yeah. And then you also mentioned that you used like that the idea came to you from the tweet and then you were like, introspecting and like looking around your family situation. So is it like the Hernandez women family situation? Is it very much inspired like from your family? Like kind
Loosely a
of?
little bit. I am a sibling of 5.
Okay.
And so, like, that was, like, okay, she has to have a big family, but she only has, like, her, 2 sisters. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
3 sisters. And so I wanted her to have that. And I do have, like, a lot of distant family, but I don't really know them. But I do
Mm-hmm.
have a titi that I love. Her name is Titi Sandra. And
Oh.
so she was, like, my inspiration to I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
"What about my titi and all my love for her here?" It's like a special kind of bond, like
Mm-hmm.
like a niece and an aunt has, and so I
Yeah.
wanted to multiply that, and so I just took pieces of her
Mm-hmm.
and pieces of, like, fun people that I thought had to fill those roles, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's how that household was, like, born. So
Mm-hmm.
not specifically of me, but, like, the idea of a big family and my specific titi Sandra, who we love so much. I love her so much.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me. I Yeah, because it's like the for me when I was reading it, they all felt like very 3D characters. Like I could picture like in any situation what Titi Neva will do or Titi we will do, like how they would react to a certain situation. So I think you did like a really good job of like making them feel like real people in Amelia's life. So
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. In relation to that, I feel like I mean, obviously, there are parts of you in each of the character, but which one out of all the Hernandez women or any of the other characters would you say is most like you, like in terms of character?
I think,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think, yeah, there's pieces that I maybe snuck into a lot of people. I think specifically, Sophia, I think
Okay.
because I am that friend that if you say something bad about yourself or like if my family member is like feeling down and I hate when like the people I love talk down on themselves because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
so hard and I'm guilty of this too, but like we never see like how great we are. And so as soon as someone is feeling that way, I'm like, what can I do? How do I save you right now? Like, don't do that. And Sophia's very much like that with Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
And also for my sister, I'm so like, if you want to do something, even if I don't agree, like I will help you get there. I'll help you do anything. And Sophia
Hmm.
really helps with like the Hernandez romance boot camp. And like when
Yeah.
she doesn't agree with something like Amelia wants to do, she's like, okay, this is wrong, but I'll help you. And so I will do that for anyone that I love. And so I think
Hmm.
Sophia specifically, she's a lot cooler than I am. But that idea of doing anything for your loved ones, I think is very similar to me.
Yeah, as soon as you said Sophia, it kind of also clicked for me because, like, even though it's our first time talking, it's like the anime parts and like I can now completely like, even if I had just spoken to you, I would have probably said Sophia as well by the end of it. So I think you're cool enough to be
You're
her.
so lovely. How dare you?
Yeah. I also think you did a very good job of portraying the sister relationship, especially like that is like one of the like arcs that I love to read most, sister relationships, especially since I have a sister. And so just I think the way you portrayed it, even like in terms of like the conflict that they have towards the end and like those kind of things, I think you did like a really like it's a very realistic portrayal of it. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I really hope
Yeah.
so because everything is like fiction, right? But my love for
Hmm.
my sister is so real, and I really wanted that to come through. Like their love for each other is like just like, unbreakable.
Hmm. Yeah, I it definitely came across that way in the book. So definitely. Yeah. Also, speaking like I mentioned that I had seen your posts recently. I know you're working currently like full time, right, in a big five company. So what is it? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, how is it like balancing the full time working in the world of books and then also managing your writing career? Because you said you just went on sub again, right? Recently?
Yes.
Congratulations on
Yes.
that.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Um, horrifying being on. I haven't been on 7 years. But it is a little difficult sometimes. I
Mhm.
think because I'm constantly day to day, I'm consuming so many different books and so many different stories. And I think that's a double edged sword, right? So when I'm sitting down and I'm writing on my laptop, some days I'm like, I have nothing in me. I have been staring at words for so long. I've been doing so much work for like these different stories. I have no creativity left. And other times, I'm, like, really kind of motivated because I have access to all these stories, and some of them are just so wonderful, and I'm like, "Wow, like, you're so skillful at your craft," like, it inspires me to write, and so I never know what I'm gonna feel that night, so it is a little wacky, and I think in particularly for, like, when I'm working, I have a lot more affection to authors because I know how difficult it can be, and so I put a lot
Mhm.
of, like, love and care on, like, when I'm working with books specifically because I
Mhm.
know it's really hard out here, and so it really is some days really hard, and some days I'm like, "Wow, am I, like, a goddess? Can I write anything ever?" And so I honestly have no recipe, it just depends on my mood that day.
Hmm. That completely makes sense. I feel like even though I'm not working all day on books, I'm still kind of the same where is it gonna come out of me today?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be, yeah. So completely makes sense. But how did you like get into the publishing world? Was that also just like your love for writing that led you to wanting to work in the publishing world?
Yeah, I think more so, my love for reading specifically because it is, maybe I think introverts are very similar, but like we tend to be
Mhm.
really logical. And so I know that I wanted to be an author, but that is not stability. That is really luck of the draw. You might not even become one. And so I was like, I know I want to be in the world of books one way or another.
Yep.
And so I went to university, I studied writing, and then right like at the tail end of graduation, I was in this fellowship for a literary agency. And it was phenomenal because it wasn't just for like being an agent. We got to meet a lot of publishing professionals. So, like, you would get someone from marketing, someone from editorial, publicity, and things like that. And I actually made a connection there. And so that person helped me get an internship at my job in New York. And it was just really lucky. I think like the universe was on my side because as soon as my internship ended, someone left the company and that position was open. And my supervisor for my internship was like, we're going to get you here. And she really helped advocate for me.
Mhm.
And obviously, I did some other work too. I was good. But she really did help me a lot and she helped me get this position. And now I'm here. And so it was just really, I think, luck. And I'm so grateful to it's just a lot of people who helped me along the way.
I love that. And your hard work.
Yes,
And your
yes.
hard work. Let's not forget that. That's really good. I think, like you mentioned, like about introverts being logical. For me, it was pretty much similar. Where I didn't have the, I had more of the like um logical in the sense that I was like, I cannot do it. And so for the longest time, I was like, I'm gonna get into, financial stability, the jobs that are in that. And so I was like doing pre-med and all of that. And then completely derailed for like the next couple years. And now I'm back in the writing world. And so, when the passion is there, when the need, I guess, to write is there, you're gonna get there. It's gonna come some way. And so I think even with like stories, like how you said, you're on sub again, I'm sure it'll find its person.
Thank
So
you. Here's to
yes.
hoping.
Yes, I'm excited to find it in a bookstore soon.
You. I'll send you
Yes,
immediately if I get like a yes. I'm like, guess what? Another book
please.
coming your way.
Yes, I would love that. Okay, now that your first book has been out in the world, and it has been out for almost 4 months now, right?
Yeah, whoa, crazy.
January, it came out in January 2025. And so you're working on other projects as well. What important advice would you give to a first time author?
I think it's so annoying. I'm so sorry to be annoying. It's so cliche, but like there's two main things that I would always say, and it's like perseverance and also not comparing yourself to people because there's always going to be someone who is doing better than you, and that's in all fields, that's in all career paths. Like there's always going to be someone ahead of you,
Mhm.
and they're in a instead of competing, instead of thinking that they're ahead, it's not even there's no race, there's no competition. You are in your own place and someone else is in that place. And so I think that helps the emotional part of it,
Mhm.
because when so many people are doing so well in your eyes, you kind of fall behind in your own mind and you're like, wow, like, why am I here? But like, you're there for now. And I think that's okay. And I think being really persistent, because I think, particularly being an author, yes, there's hard work involved. Yes, you have to be good at your craft. But I think a lot of people don't realize there's luck there. There's so much luck involved because I am not trying to say that I'm not a good author, but I do think there's so many people who are incredible. I think there's people who are better writers and storytellers than me that haven't been published. And I think that's unfortunate. I just think that the only way that you can be an author is that if you're persistent and you get that lucky kind of draw, because that's the only thing that's going to stop you. If you're not lucky, if you're not constantly working at your craft, if you stop, you will never get there.
Mhm.
And that, like, I think that I did work hard. I think I consumed a lot of books and I wrote, but I failed at selling my first project. It took me a really long time to get an agent and I almost quit. But if I didn't keep going, I wouldn't be here. And so it is hard work, it's luck, and it's just like emotionally get ready for a ride.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like all like again, like this is the advice a lot of people give because this is the experience in the publishing world, and also just like in a similar vein, it's like perseverance, but also like getting ready to hear no a
A
lot of
lot.
times. A lot.
So it
Yeah.
is really hard. But like the only difference between like me and like maybe some other people is that some people just stop. Like you will never get the chance. if you stop. That is
Exactly.
what you have to do. You have to keep going.
Yeah, that makes complete. Okay, last question before we end this. Since our podcast name is Characters Like Us, and so we are trying to highlight diverse and inclusive storytelling in the books that we are reading and writing. And so, what would you say to someone who sees themselves in the characters that you have written?
First, I would say thanks so much for even reading and finding a character that you resonated with. And then I think it would depend on the character. They're all so different, but a lot of my characters, I think, especially in Build a Girlfriend, they have their own level of insecurity and uncertainty of the future. Amelia, who's 18, the aunts who are in, I like undecided because they never admit it, but
Mhm.
they're 40s, they're 50s, they're 60s, and like they all have like insecurities, and I think that it's okay. And I think I would say like you're perfectly fine wherever you are in life. And like you can find yourself at any time. You can find yourself when you're young, you can find yourself when you're getting older. Like there's no need for this pressure that we put on ourselves. And one of my favorite quotes is that this is all our first lives. And so like none of us really know what to do, what we're doing. And so, like, it is okay if you are confused. It is okay if the future is uncertain. Like, just keep going day by day. And one day, even if it's a long way away, you will find yourself. And like, I hope you're okay. I hope you know that.
I love that answer. Also, specifically because in the book itself, you see that so clearly. Also, with again Titi Sandra, like her and the, you know, if you read the book, then you know.
Yeah, you
And
know.
then exactly, and so if you want to find out, go read the book. But yeah, so I think that message really, like, even if you read the book, you see that, and I think that's great. Yeah. Anyways, this was so lovely. It was so nice talking to you. Before we go, Build a Girlfriend is out now, so make sure to get yourself a copy if you haven't already, and follow Elba on all her socials to keep an eye out for news about her future releases. And the link for her socials will be in the description, along with the link for our Instagram channel, which you should follow, to our Instagram account, which you should follow to keep updated on the podcast episode release updates. So, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Elba, for being here.
Yeah.
Yay!